Welcome to NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana, the place to be for speed. Look at those carts go around the track. This is Prep Recruiting Insider, and we'll tell you about the best high school football players in the nation, in the state, in the city, and we are here at the place for speed, NOLA Motorsports Park. Hi, thank you for joining us again on Prep Recruiting Insider. My name is Ro Brown, and it is good, as always, to be here at the Event Center at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana. As always, with me, my sidekick, partner in crime, Renee Nato. Renee, how you doing this afternoon?
Great to be here, and signing day is coming, and I'm going to talk to some seniors and some juniors, 2014 seniors from Jesuit Blue Jays. Talk to Coach Wade Kaiser, talk about the commandments of recruiting. You don't want to miss that. And of course, we're going to have the top dog here at NOLA Motorsports and tell us all about what's coming up down the road.
Okay, what are these commandments? What are you talking about?
We'll tell you a little bit, the do's and the don'ts of recruiting.
Okay, and as you said, it will be good to have, Kristen Angeron here.
Yes.
Who is, as like the boss here at NOLA
Yes.
Motorsports Park, and, they've been very good to us this season.
Sure have, and it's always great to come out here and have a great time. Everybody comes out here, has a great time. There's so much to do. Movies and weddings and parties and a lot more going on just riding go-karts around the track.
Okay, that's what we have coming up for you this week on the Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park right here in Avondale, Louisiana. We'll come back and talk about those commandments that Renee talked about. I'm curious about that. Jesuit Blue Jay Day here on PRI. We'll be right back after this. Thanks for joining us here on PRI, Prep Recruiting Insider. Yes, this is a recruiting show, and Renee Nato, the Prep Recruiting Insider, is here with us. And recently, Renee, you came up with actually a 20 commandments,
right.
Not a 10 commandments, but we're going to deal with 10 of these commandments here. The commandments of recruiting. What's this all about?
Well, it's you've been around the game, same as I have, Ro, and this is kind of common sense things that you really need to know about when you go on recruiting and get into the game. Parents need to know about, and just things that I'm not going to tell you anything you really don't know before, maybe a couple of things, but basically just use good common sense, and this is what it's all about.
Okay, we picked about half, 10 of the 20. If you want to see all 20, the whole list, you can catch that on sportsnola.com.
That's right.
Everything there on Renee's blog. So what is number one? Number one is one. All about.
You got to read the small print. A lot of people don't know that when you sign these scholarships, they're 1 year renewable, and they find out the hard way sometimes that, they don't go for the whole 4 years. So just make sure you understand that early on.
Yep, and let's go to number two, redshirt options.
Redshirt option. I've talked to players who have found out the hard way that they've lost a redshirt year by just playing 3 or 4 or 5 plays. Find out whose decision it is, if it's going to be your decision, and you don't want to lose a redshirt year and find out by accident early into the season.
And redshirt year, some people don't know what that is. Just say what a
redshirt year is. You can redshirt as a freshman, just practice and everything, but you really won't be playing in games. So sometimes you play 4 or 5 plays in a game, you lose the entire year, and you want to get that clear up front.
How about number 3? Talk to players and teams. Is this just a familiarity thing? Is that what this means?
Family thing is besides your player, talk to some backups and find out if they're happy, and kind of take the temperature of the situation, get varying opinions, and discuss it with your own family. So don't just talk about your host player, talk about other players and see how they feel about being a part of that team.
What can people find out from that? I mean, why? Why is that important?
It could be things like, this and that, the way practices go and the way players are treated, and the way coaches act towards certain players, if everybody's treated the same and things. Just kind of the family type atmosphere, if you will.
Okay, all right. Coaching history and position options.
Well, a recruiter has a lot to do with the interaction with the recruit, and you want to find out what his stability is, how long he's been at that school. If you want to find out how long a coach's contract is, find out if he's in his last year of his contract and if there's any stability there. Also, position options. You want to find out when you get there that you are playing one position, they have another position in mind for you, and you find out the hard way in practice, like you go with the offensive players, oh no, you're going to play this position on defense. It's a hard, cold fact, but it does happen. So find out stability of the coaches and position changes. What's the future plans?
What do you think, roughly, percentage of kids who go to a school because of the coach?
Yeah, a lot. A lot.
You think?
Oh, because you look at the decommitments right now. Coaches are changing schools, and kids are decommitting and wanting to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I was going to say, with all the coaching movement in this day and age in college football, you really have to deal with that. And the other thing, that the position options, I mean, some kids, it's like basketball players. I'm a guard, I'm a shooter, I'm whatever. But, in football, I guess they have the same kind of thing, where, I mean, do you really think that a kid can get a coach to kind of change his mind, or do you think the coach is usually bing?
I could give you a bunch of examples, but kids have gone to schools as defensive tackles have become fullbacks, and vice versa. So you never know. It may not be what you want to do. Make sure you have that understood.
Next one on the list of the commandments, your major or degree.
We'll speak to a group affiliated with your major. What's at your disposal? Sports will only take you so far, and a degree will, upon your graduation, what is it worth? Find out what it's worth.
Compare notes. What does that mean?
Talk to other players being recruited. Find out what their concerns are. Compare notes. Check out everything, and see if maybe another recruit can tell you they had some concerns about something that maybe you didn't think of.
Living arrangements, athletic future.
A lot of schools, Ro, as you know, as a freshman, you have to live in the dorms, find out what the future plans are for the athletic department, what the realistic expectations are for the improved facilities at that school.
Living arrangements. Now, isn't this kind of, if I want to stop right here, isn't part of this kind of facilities also?
Yeah, that's why I say that's why I say find out what the realistic expectations are. They said, we're going to build this and we're going to build that. Will I see it? Will I take advantage of these improvements? So make sure that they may say this, but it may be pie in the sky to you if it's 10 years.
And athletic future, I mean, you mean the athletic future of the department? Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly. What they do in improvements and how it can help you grow as a student athlete.
Community and everyday student life, as we move on, is the next one. Community and student life.
Well, if you're going to be recruited, if you're from the South, you're recruited by a cold weather school, understand if you show up and it's 70 degrees and you're up in the far north, it may not be 70 degrees in January or February. Can you exist and go to class every day in snow and 20 degrees, 25 degrees? Also consider the distance from home and the culture, the lifestyle, the nightlife. Is it something that you can be comfortable in? Is the type of nightlife that you're exposed to, is it something that you can be comfortable in and interact with your fellow students?
And that everyday student life, I guess you already touched on that, of course. Let's move on to competition.
Don't be afraid of competition. Sometimes young men will say, well, I may go here because there's no such and such a position there. Well, guess what? If they're not there, now they're coming. So don't be afraid to take on any competition, because in the next 3 or 4 years, someone will be recruited at your position, and if not, go play club football.
Number 10, NFL future, national perception.
Well, if the NFL is in your future, find out what the success ratio of the players leaving that school, succeeding in the NFL, if you can't speak to some of those players. And every school gets on TV these days, but find out about regional and national TV. Conference prestige is important.
Now, I guess some schools, when you talk about NFL future and national perception, some schools, for instance, LSU in the last 2 years, they've had 15, 16 juniors leave for the National Football League. Programs, I guess, could use it either way. So maybe you could use that against them if somebody says, well, they're losing this one, and then a program can say, well, we put this number of people in the NFL. They could use it as a positive.
And you prepare them, and something that's playing a big part of this is another whole show, but keep in mind, too, that with the rookie salary structure right now, that as soon as a player enters the NFL, that 3 or 4 year contract starts, that clock starts. So make sure that that's a lot of reasons why kids are leaving early now, to get that rookie salary cap out of the way and get to a real contract, if you will. So if you could play, you get beat up in college, make some money and do it.
Renee Nato's 10 Commandments of Recruiting, as you mentioned, you actually have 20, and they can see that where?
at sportsnola.com. Check it out.
That's the 10 Commandments of Recruiting with Renee Nato. When we come back, we'll have the head coach of the Jesuit Blue Jays, Coach Wade Kaiser, will join us here on Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park at the Event Center. The place for speed and the place to hold your receptions and your meetings or parties or whatever. Don't go away. Thanks for joining us here on Prep Recruiting Insider. As I mentioned, it is Jesuit Blue Jay Day. My partner Renee Nato is here with us, and to your far left, we have a guy who is the head Jesuit Blue Jay for right now. Been on the job as head coach there for 7 years. We could go through his bio. I mean, he's been a couple other places too. An old familiar face around here. It is so good to see you again. Wade Kaiser, how you doing?
Great to see you guys. Thanks for having us here. What a great facility. Tremendous facility.
So you're a first-timer, huh?
First-timer. Seems like a great place for kids to come and drive cars and everything. Looks like a great place.
A Jesuit graduate, right?
Yes, sir, I am.
1978. Yep.
1978.
Played for Billy Murphy?
Played for Billy. Played around there with that good team, you know. With Timmy Parrington and all, you know. I mean, I guess you left
Davis,
before the state championship game, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, you were around for all that
I was in the
stuff.
77 team, graduate of 78. It was the 78 team that went to the Dome. So I was in college the year that they were in the Dome.
And that was the first Dome game. That was the first Dome championship game, if I remember.
Correct, against St. Aug.
Yeah, St. Aug.
Correct.
31 years coaching, Wade. Did you start when you were 10 or what? I mean,
No, I started when I was 22.
I mean, really.
That's close enough.
Been at Brother Martin, East St. John, and St. Charles Catholic, Vermilion Catholic. Jesuit is a special place, not only being an alum, but it's a special place. Catholic League, it's a special thing for you to go back where you are now.
No doubt. It's you talk about bucket lists of places to be able to work in your career, and it is that. It's a great school, not only athletically, but we do a great job with our young men academically and spiritually.
There's been something that's kind of brought the school together, some disturbing news yesterday, and talk about it a little bit if you could.
Well, we found out a sad situation with our president, Father Fitzgerald, has been diagnosed with ALS, and he brought the whole faculty together yesterday, as well as they got a lot of information out to the Jesuit community on his status and everything. But knowing Father as I do, and he graduated 2 years earlier than I did, so I was a sophomore when he was a senior. Didn't know him, but as I've come to know him over the years, being a part of the Jesuit community, he's a guy that is going to work hard to try to, make the best of this and defeat this thing, and he'll continue on this next year as our president. So we look forward to that.
Well, Father Fitzgerald, of course, will be in all our prayers, and things will turn out fine there. Things turned out pretty fine for you. You've had a pretty good career as a football coach. You had your first head coaching job at Vermilion Catholic, at age
30.
30, okay, and so keep us going. I know we got.
I had hair. I had hair. So.
And then we got St. Charles Catholic. I'll go through the chronology there.
After spending a number of years as an assistant, my first coaching job was with a gentleman named Ozzie Blaze, who coached me at Jesuit and was on Billy Murphy's staff, and he was at Vanderbilt Catholic at the time. I graduated from college at St. Mary of the Plains College in Dodge City, Kansas, where I spent a couple years as a student assistant. Ozzie hires me at Vanderbilt Catholic, spend a few years there, a few years at Turlings, Catholic in Lafayette. I come to Jesuit on Frank Monica's staff. I had a great opportunity to coach at Jesuit under Frank Monica and learn a lot of football. And then I was offered my first head coaching job at Vermilion Catholic out in Abbeville. What a great place that was. It was a great 2 years, and it was wonderful, a wonderful place to start.
You've been in 31 years, Wade. You've seen recruiting come full circle, a lot of changes and stuff. How has things changed? Are there things a little better now? Is there things you need to be aware of as a head coach that maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago you didn't have to worry about?
A lot of things. Keeping up with the rules every year that the NCAA regulates and changes. That's the big deal. You know, knowing when dead times are, when recruits can be contacted. Just every year those things change. So trying to stay up with that is a continual challenge. How to guide your young men in order to talk to them, their parents, in regards to those changes. So whereas 30 years ago, it was like the Wild Wild West. I'm sure you talk to guys like Barry Wilson, who's spent many years in college, Frank Monaco spent many years in college. You know, the rules and regulations have all changed. So the toughest thing in 30 years in doing this is staying up with the changes to be able to guide the young men and guide parents on how things actually work. And then of course all the academic requirements these days. You know, it's the NCAA is obviously about student athletes and student athletics, and making sure that the qualifications academically are all met. And you've got to stay up on those things also.
We always ask the student athletes what they like best and least about recruiting. There's a high school coach who has people and has had people recruited. What do you like best about it? What do you like least?
Well, the best thing about it is just the process of these guys coming into the office during the times that they can visit, have the recruiters, the staff members, the assistant coaches, the head coaches, because not only do you establish relationships with many of these guys, you actually get to pick their brains and talk to them and kick ideas around, and you learn from them while they're in the office. Right. You know, there are many years where we won't have anybody that's a recruit, but the coaches still come in because they develop relationships with you. It's the relationship thing. It's the ability to pick their brains, that sort of stuff. The least thing is the direction I think recruiting is heading in a lot of instances that kind of, in my opinion, you know, some recruiters in certain schools depend more on rivals, and they depend more on Under Armour, or more on all of these 5 stars and Nike stars, and I don't know all the terms, but I think that has taken some of the personalization out of it, the one-on-one. Right. And so a lot of recruiting then is done through recruiting agencies or recruiting websites or recruiting companies that give rankings. Yeah. And as we all know, and many, it's not an exact science. No. And a lot of the college coaches will tell you a lot of those rankings aren't true.
Yeah. What's our favorite? You know, Marshall Faulk was not a top 300 recruit.
Yeah, I mean, every year I talk about the number 1 draft choices.
Louisiana.
In the NFL draft, if you look back, they were 1 and 2 stars, whatever that means. And writing for Sports NOLA, we've talked many times, Wade, you know, sometimes coaches will call and see a list I put up on the website, and you know, I like to know a little bit about the character of the young man and his work ethic and things, rather than just numbers they put up. That's
the personalized part of recruiting that I think is starting to fade away a little bit, and that's the part that kind of bothers me. You know, CJ, who recruited Marshall Faulk, you know, CJ will tell you, you know, everybody wanted him as a defensive back. Yeah. You know, Curtis told him to come on to San Diego State and be a running back, and the rest is history. Yep. You know, so it's the personalization.
Absolutely. Well, Wade Kaiser, you have always been very personable with us, and we appreciate that. And it is a pleasure to have you here on Prep Recruiting Insider.
Well, it's great to be here. I appreciate it. We appreciate everything you guys do for, you know, prep sports on the scene here in New Orleans.
And I'd say good luck to you the rest of the year, but you know, you guys work year round, so it doesn't.
It seems to be that way.
Yeah. Wade Kaiser of the Jesuit Blue Jays, head football coach here on Prep Recruiting Insider. When we come back here at NOLA Motorsports Park, we'll talk to a couple of Jesuit Blue Jays. Welcome back to Prep Recruiting Insider. I am Ro Brown along with Renee Nadeau, and it is Jesuit Blue Jay Day. We just had a conversation with Coach Wade Kaiser. And now, Renee, we have a couple of Jesuit Blue Jays here with us. Introduce these young men.
Tight end to my left, Foster Morrow, and Trey LaFleur is the quarterback for the Jesuit Blue Jays, both juniors, and they're gonna get have some schools knocking on the door already. I think they'll get some a lot of interest for next year, not only for football, but these guys are dual sport athletes, play a little basketball as well. We're talking what maybe a decision there. Where you feel like you're best suited, football or basketball?
Well, I'll start with Trey on the far end. You are the quarterback. You're the guy who's throwing the ball around, and
That's right.
you know, and Renee, you've seen this guy play
Yeah.
before. I mean,
Yes, sir.
he's a good one. He's a good one. I'd sign you. I think I would.
He can make the throws, and we're going to talk to Foster about it as well. You play basketball, Trey.
Yes, sir.
How does that help you in football and vice versa?
I mean, I think the speed of the game is fast in basketball, and I think that transfers to football a lot, and staying calm in the game, I think is big, and some of the big games that we went in this year.
Now, you're a sharpshooter last year. About a year ago, about this time,
Yes, sir,
you had
about this
23 against Brother Martin, had a pretty good game.
Yes, sir.
You're not afraid to put it up. Are you looking at some schools maybe to play both sports?
I would consider that, yes, sir, but I don't feel that I've made a decision quite yet about which sport to pursue, and I think future will tell.
And
which one.
who's some of the schools maybe have expressed interest thus far?
I have gotten a few letters from Davidson College, Boston University, Spring Hill, Loyola for basketball. And I plan on going to some camps this year and checking out all my options.
What about football?
Football, haven't had a whole lot of interest yet, but I look forward to being recruited and hopefully get my name out there, and you never know.
You got a favorite pass, a route that you like to throw?
10 and out to Foster.
Look like somebody wants to answer it for you, but
10 and out to Foster is never a bad choice.
okay. So 10 out to fun. Yeah, you want to answer that for him, for us?
Short little standard routes from Trey aren't too bad to catch.
Okay.
Like the drag stuff, and he runs good seam routes. He's
Good,
got
runs good
hands.
seeing right. I'll ask you, Foster, about Trey. Give us a scouting report on him. Tell us about it. What makes him?
On Trey, calm in the pocket, cool, collected, a leader on the field, and he could hit the routes. He could really hit them. He could scramble a little bit. He has good reactions. He could really he could see the field, and basketball really translates to that as well.
And what about with you basketball, Foster? How much has basketball and football helped each other, overlapped a little bit?
I'd say they've helped a lot with the physics, not only mental, but also the physical aspect as stamina, jumping ability, reaction time, as I've said. They all really play key roles in both sports, and they really help exercise each other.
And what schools have you have made some overtures in basketball, football yet with you?
Nothing in basketball. I made a visit up to Florida State earlier in the year, and to Tulane once as well, and I plan on going to a couple of other colleges to go visit this spring.
So Troy, I'll ask you. He gave us a lowdown on you. What about him?
Foster is, I think, somebody that teams look at going into their week of practice knowing they're playing Jesuit. And I think he's a player that they have to keep an eye on every play, and there's no play that they can take off, or because as big as he is, going down the middle of the field, I think a lot of defensive backs and even linebackers have a hard time to keep up with him, because being as big as he is with some speed goes along well. Easy target at that too.
Now, you said you keep up with Tanner Lee,
Yes,
who
sir.
preceded you now at Tulane. How has he helped you?
Tanner, I feel my sophomore year, Tanner taught me, I think, more than anybody else. I mean, he's a great kid, and I've actually kept up with him after he graduated, and I look forward to seeing him play at Tulane, and I think he's going to do well there.
Foster, I don't want to put anything around your neck, but do you watch a guy like Jimmy Graham? because the tight end position is kind of, you know, it's almost like it's morphing into something else with the likes of Graham and these ex-basketball players, okay, which is what you are, you know, also a basketball player. Do you watch him? And talk a little bit about that, the slash basketball tight end, Tony Gonzalez types.
I do watch Jimmy Graham quite frequently, actually, and he is really a basketball player living the dream as a football player. I see him blocking not as much as him going down the field, catching the ball, and then getting vertical. But really, what really gets me about him is his vertical leap. I think his vertical leap is just outstanding. And he could just go up from 30, 40, anywhere in the red zone and just go up and get the ball. And that's a big trait for a tight end.
Real quickly, you guys are juniors, not exactly the kind of year that you are accustomed to or that you may have wanted this past season at Jesuit. You're juniors. You're coming back next year. Why will you be better?
I think this past year was a big learning year, and I think we had some good senior leadership that kind of put us on the right path. And I look forward to working hard in the off season and coming back and hopefully having a good year.
Foster?
I feel that we lost a good number of players that we had counted on, and with a few injuries and a couple of changes that we went through, I feel that we would have liked to have had a better year, but we got to come back, we got to work hard, get after it, and go have a productive season.
Okay. And we mentioned both these gentlemen play basketball at Jesuit. That means they played for one of the Jesuit greats, Chris Jennings. Either one of you guys outshoot him? I know he's tried. I know he's challenged you, right?
Oh man, I'll go get his rebounds.
Chris can put it up. He could put it up back then. He was never afraid to shoot it, but he could shoot.
Shooter to have the name. Jump shot.
So that's about the time he played. He told you about playing against Marquette, Sleepy Floyd. He's told you that story.
Which one is that?
Which one?
Playing against Sleepy Floyd at Georgetown, rather. Nichols played Georgetown. Let him tell you the story. When he lit up Sleepy Floyd. Sleepy Floyd was a big name player at that time in college basketball. Ask Coach Jennings. Tell him you heard it from us.
Right. Jesuit High School quarterback Trey LaForge and tight end Foster Moreau. Guys, thanks for being here on Prep Recruiting Insider. Good luck to you the rest of the school year, and good luck to you next season. We'll be back with more PRI. We'll have a couple of additional Jesuit Blue Jays. Thanks for sticking with us. We are at the Event Center here at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana on Nicole Boulevard. Come on out. You saw the carts earlier. It's the place to be for speed. Renee Nato is here with us. And Renee, we have two more Jesuit Blue Jays. Would you introduce these fine young men here?
A couple of dual sport guys play football. To my left is Jack Hebert, defensive end, also plays basketball and runs track. And to his left is linebacker Kobe Semino, who also is an outstanding lacrosse player. So these guys, they don't take a day off. They're always sweating, I guess.
Wow, I tell you, these dual sport athletes. Oh, so we got here defensive end, right?
Yes.
And a linebacker.
Yes, sir.
In football. And we got a lacrosse player.
Yes.
And a basketball player.
And track.
And track. Okay.
And he
So
deep
he's
snaps too, so that's interesting. That's going to play into, I think, the recruiting deal with him.
we got some versatile people here.
Jack, you looking, and you have a 4.5 grade point average, which I think it would take me 6 years to get combined. That's another whole show. But anyway, right now, what are you looking at athletically and academically beyond this year in college?
Well, I'm looking at Rhodes College. In Memphis, Tennessee. It's a really good school, good football school. They've had a successful year this year. They won their conference championship. And also University of Georgia.
And deep snapping plays into this, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Yeah. No, I love to do snap in college and go wherever I go, try to walk on and try to go on with football with that.
Now, Kobe, lacrosse, football, lacrosse may be a ticket, football may be a ticket. What are you thinking, and where are you looking right now collegiately?
It plays out because I want to major in nutrition. It matters where who offers a degree and who doesn't offer a degree, because nutrition's kind of a seldom not offered curriculum at most colleges.
So what's your choices right now? What are you looking at?
I'm looking at Becker College, Western Connecticut State, and Millsaps.
Now for football or lacrosse?
Millsaps is the football one. Becker and Western Connecticut State's the lacrosse one.
Wow.
You lacrosse. How long have you been playing lacrosse?
Ever since I was in 5th grade.
5th grade. So you've been at it a while. I mean, this isn't something that you just picked up when you got to Jesuit High School. What do you like about that game?
I like how it's pretty much, you have to be on your feet 24/7. You're running up and down the field. You run, the average lacrosse player runs about 5 to 6 miles a game. So you have to be really, really in shape, and you have to play hard every play.
Now, Jack, you run track, play basketball. How has that helped you with football?
Well, with basketball, obviously, you're competing against some of the best athletes in the city, so that helps you with speed and quickness. And then tracks, just, it's the extra work. You get that extra, you get some sprints in or stuff like that. It's just additional work on top of football workouts that can help you in your game.
4.5 grade point average. What do you think in major-wise?
I want to major in biology. Hopefully I can go into physical therapy after that.
Just to jump around, I want to get back to the lacrosse thing. A lot of people don't know lacrosse. New Orleans has a lacrosse history. The area between Elysian Fields and St. Bernard Avenue, people who live in that area call it the Racket Green. They don't know why, because there was a green grass right there, and they played a game called rackets, which was nothing but lacrosse. Okay, and people met there every Sunday and played it there, and that's why it's called the Racket Green. Just thought you want to know that. And also, every lacrosse player has been told that the greatest American lacrosse player was who, Colby?
Jim Brown.
There you go.
Wow.
Greatest running back of all time. Also the greatest lacrosse player. There you go. You
What's,
can take it from there.
I've seen both you guys play, and Colby, you played linebacker, kind of a headhunter guy. Not the biggest linebacker, but you played like a linebacker, strong safety kind of guy, monster guy. That defense seemed to fit your skills, didn't it?
Yes, sir.
It did. And what did you feel like was, you guys won a lot of games this year, but came close. Field goals separated you in a few games. Why is the future so bright for the Blue Jays? Start with you, Colby.
I think they have great leadership on the junior level that we had this year. And then there's a lot of talent in that sophomore and freshman class that is coming up.
Jack?
I think the leadership, obviously, since my sophomore year and the seniors, it was passed down this tradition of winning and leadership, and it's continued on in the sophomore and the junior class now. So they have all the tools and the talent they need. Just got to go out and execute on the field.
What's special about playing athletics at Jesuit High School? First year, Jack.
Well, obviously, it's the long history of Jesuit athletics. You walk through the halls and have all the trophies and stuff, and it just makes you want to be a part of that, and you don't want to disappoint anyone who's been a part of that. And there's a lot of people who are they're very involved in the athletic alumni who, they follow our sports, and it means a lot to us.
Colby, what's it been like for you these years playing athletics there?
It's a great honor to play Jesuit football, Jesuit lacrosse, Jesuit basketball, any Jesuit athletics. Down the line, this is what we're going to look back into, and this is what a lot of people do. They look back, and that's Jesuit athletics was their main thing in high school.
Jack, you got good technique as defensive end, savvy, good first step, get off the ball pretty well, rush the quarterback pretty well. Is there a player you've modeled yourself after a little bit?
There's no one player, but you watch guys like Alden Smith, Clay Matthews, passers like that. You can pick up some good stuff from them.
Now, Colby, you're a 2-year starter, fly around the ball pretty well, got good solid technique and open field. Is there a player that you kind of liked growing up?
I grew up, I love watching Brian Urlacher, love watching Ray Lewis. Nowadays, though, I love watching Vilma. Vilma was a big-time guy I used to watch when I was growing up, too.
You said you wanted to major in nutrition, Colby, and what you may have said, Jack. What about you?
Biology.
Biology? Okay, so you see, we got some real scholar athletes here. Nutrition, that's kind of different.
Yeah,
That's kind of different, but that's pretty good. Colby Semino, Jack Hebert, 2 Jesuit Blue Jays who are headed on to college after outstanding careers, multi-sport careers at Jesuit High School. Like I said, we got basketball and football and track and football and lacrosse over there. Guys, thanks for joining us here on Prep Recruiting Insider. Good to see you.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll be back with more on PRI. We'll talk to the head honcho here at NOLA Motorsports Park. Don't go away. Welcome back to Prep Recruiting Inside. I want to thank Wade Kaiser, head coach of the Jesuit Blue Jays, and his Jesuit Blue Jay players who appeared on PRI. Now, all season long, our home has been here, NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana. And Renee, as you know, we have had key employees of NOLA Motorsports Park throughout the season. Well, today we have the key employee.
Yep.
And there she is. You know, the title is, I told her I'd say this, she's the Chief Muck to Muck. Introduce Kristen to
Kristen, let's
everybody.
just come out here. I'm glad she did.
Kristen Ogeron, who is the president of NOLA Motorsports Park. Good to have you here with us.
Thanks, guys. We love having you guys out here every week, and being a huge football fanatic and fan. It's always a pleasure to see the kids coming through and being able to see the talent that's coming in through our area.
I was starting to get a complex, man. Kristen, come on with us, you know, sending everybody else, you know. I figured there was something wrong with Renee or something, you know.
No. Just you.
Well, you know, everybody loves to come out here, Kristen, and the kids love to ride, and so much to do. We've talked about you have room for parties and weddings and everything else. What plans are there for 2014? That some improvements, things, you know, tweak a little bit.
Yeah, for 2014, as far as capital improvements, we're actually in the process of making some improvements to the track, to the track where the cars and the bikes run, not the karting facility, and we're doing that in anticipation of a major World Series race that we are looking forward to announcing here in the next couple of months. That will be the first ever in Louisiana, starting in 2015. So there'll be more to come on that, if that's a little teaser for you.
You mentioned karts. Is that the big seller with the public? Because I know when the kids would come here, the young men who appear on this show, you know, they don't know anything else. They know about that kart track.
Yes, and actually, surprisingly enough, and again, this was part of my education when I took this position, is that karting is actually one of the safest sports in America. You wouldn't think if you put your teenager, and we actually have karting drivers as young as 7 and 8 years old that are getting in these world-class karts, right, and they're zipping around the karting track, sometimes in excess of 70, 75 miles an hour with maybe an inch off the ground. It is one of the safest things, and it is the biggest draw that we get here on a daily basis to the park. So it's typically our customers' first experience to the park, and then once they get here, they figure out, oh, wait, we have race Mustangs. We can come do a Mustang experience where they teach me actually how to drive a Mustang, and then I get strapped in to a 3-point harness and I drive like the pros drive on our North track. We have things like the extreme driving experience where we have the exotic cars that come in. So you have the ability for, at a price point of around $200, to rent a Ferrari, to rent a Maserati, to rent a Mercedes Goldwing. And you get the chance to drive that around the track. So it's one of those bucket list items, and that typically gets our parents' proverbial motor running.
Well, you know,
but I will say on the karting demographic, again, our high schoolers that come out, we love having them. They're our core demographic. And a lot of people think that karting is intimidating, that it's typically a male-dominated sport. Right. And I will tell you, we get as many ladies and girls out here as we do men, because there's nothing like a mom that will take out some aggression going 45 miles an hour out on our karting track.
we out here, and I know you do a lot of things, but we're driving out here for a show a few months ago, and I'm looking for where we're going to have the show, and there was a movie set out here.
Yes.
And Will Smith comes walking across in front of my car. Good thing I was going 20 miles an hour. So you have some movies out here, and obviously Will Smith was out here for a movie. You have some pretty major productions.
Yeah, 2013 was a banner year for us. Again, we had never seen activity like that and we've just been open since June of 2012. So for us, it was a great trajectory for us to launch obviously for 2014. But yes, so the Warner Brothers movie Focus, which stars Will Smith. They spent approximately 15 days between October and November filming on the North Track as well as in our speed shop facility. And so if you go see the movie, which I plan on going to see, it's pretty interesting because our racetrack it's about an Indy race that takes place in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So this facility is supposed to be in South America. So it is a wonder what you see the movies, and we had a great experience with them. But like I said, to have a superstar like Will Smith and an entity like Warner Brothers to come invest out here, and particularly, we like to add value to that Hollywood South. Again, it just goes to show you how diverse our facility is. It's not just a place where you have to have, a $500,000 car to come run on the track. We have things for everybody.
How do you become president of NOLA Motorsports? How did you get here? How do you do this?
It's an interesting story. I tell Dr. Laney Schwest, our owner, all the time. I said it was nothing but the big man upstairs in the universe that put all this together and prepared me over the last 17 years of my career for this opportunity. And literally, it just happened to be Dr. Schwest and I having a conversation talking about some things to do differently with the track and whatnot. And he was in a place at that time where he just said, you know what? He's like, it was just his gut instinct. He said, something tells me you're the right person for this job. And, like I said, I can only thank the big man upstairs for it and Dr. Schwest for the opportunity. And so far, it has been more fun than I have ever imagined. And I could not have dreamt of an opportunity this well.
Tell me something I don't know about NOLA Motorsports Park, because I'll tell you, the first time I came, I knew it was here, but I didn't know it was here, if you know what I mean.
That's the big thing, is that if we can just get people through the gate, they're sold. The one thing I could tell you about NOLA Motorsports Park that you didn't know is that there's $70 million of infrastructure that is in the ground. We are the largest single private investment in Jefferson Parish. And we employ close to 100 full-time and part-time people. But at the end of it, what's not really known is that we are a small business. There is a core of about 20 key employees that run this place 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 363 days a year, because we do give Thanksgiving, Christmas off. But they are the ones really, this is a very small business, even though it's a large investment, and we like to treat it like this is our family. So that's something that I'm very proud of. We've seen people have children out here. I am now the fourth one to expect a child, and so far, everybody that has had a child out here has had all boys. So there is no hope of having girls out here, apparently.
Well, Kristen, you're our president of NOLA Motorsports Park. Thank you for all of your hospitality and your help during the season. It's been great being out here with you guys.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All righty. Thanks a lot. We'll be back with more PRI after this. There you see it, NOLA Motorsports Park, 11075 Nicole Boulevard, Avondale, Louisiana. Area code 504-302-4875. And NOLA Motorsports Park, as I said, the place to be for speed. I want to thank Kristen Orgeron, the president of NOLA Motorsports Park, for joining us here finally on Prep Recruiting Insider. Nice lady who does an outstanding job, and she usually had her, some of her other co-workers here on the show, pumping up things out here, and it was good to see her here, Renee.
It was, and good to have Kristen on with us, and she does a fabulous job. It's been a great experience out here all year long. We got a bunch of shows left to come. We're going to have next week East St. John, Coach Phil Banco, and East St. John, the Wildcats. They have a good team coming back next year, and we have some NFL players coming up in upcoming weeks. We don't want to say who, but with some current NFL players. So you don't want to miss it. It's going to be a really, really nice shows coming up. We got the signing day show. Rummel's coming up. Rummel Raiders. Jay Roth coming up in a couple of weeks. Craig Stelz will say that he'll be here. Current Chicago Bear will be in a couple of weeks. So, but we have a lot of people that you don't want to miss. Patrick Lewis, who plays now for the Cleveland Browns, will be with East St. John alum. He'll be here next week. But we have some
Texas A&M Aggie.
Texas A&M Aggie, play with Johnny Manziel. So a lot of shows coming up. So you don't want to miss it. Right here, we'll go all the way through the end of February.
Yep, and I should mention, I talked to, Eugene Wells, I just had a talk with him. It's nothing set or anything. I just, curious about it. He said that he had heard from Northwestern State.
Wow.
And in Natchitoches. So, it sounds like that might be a possibility because we were saying when the Warriors were on the show, there really wasn't anything there, but Northwestern State is very much interested. And I could see him as a slot or something like that.
Whoever gets him is going to get a steal. He will be a steal.
Yep. Well, that's it this week on Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana. I want to thank Wade Kaiser, head coach of the Jesuit Blue Jays, here with 4 of his athletes, and of course, Kristen Angeron, the president of NOLA Motorsports Park, our home here on Prep Recruiting Insider. We'll see you next week.